The Battle of Waterloo, fought on June 18, 1815, was precipitated by Napoleon Bonaparte's return from exile and his subsequent attempt to regain power in France. This event, known as the 100 Days, alarmed the allied European powers, who quickly mobilized their armies. Their goal was to thwart Napoleon's ambitions and restore stability to Europe, which had been deeply shaken by years of warfare. The confrontation at Waterloo in Belgium became the decisive battle, pitting Napoleon against a coalition led by the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian Field Marshal Blücher. The battle was not only a clash of armies, but also a pivotal moment in determining the future balance of power in Europe. In the early hours as dawn broke, soldiers from various nations stirred in their makeshift camps amidst a tense silence. The morning air was filled with the sounds of preparation, clanking armor, sheathing swords, and hushed discussions of strategy, as each man faced the uncertainty and gravity of the coming battle. Standing among his troops, Napoleon surveyed the battlefield with a steely gaze. This day offered him a chance to reclaim his emperor's fading glory and reaffirm his dominance over Europe's monarchies. His presence on the field was a stirring call to arms for his soldiers, rallying them for the impending conflict. Wellington, a master of defensive strategy, meticulously positioned his troops to take full advantage of the terrain's natural defenses. His plan was to absorb the initial French onslaught, using the landscape to mitigate the enemy's advantage and to set the stage for a strategic counterattack. The morning stillness was shattered by the deafening roar of cannons as both sides commenced a furious artillery exchange. The barrage set the fields trembling, with cannonballs carving deadly arcs through the air, inaugurating the day's violence amid a shroud of rising smoke. Behind the curtain of artillery fire, the infantry began their advance. Moving steadily through the smoke-filled battlefield, they marched towards the enemy, bracing against the relentless storm of musket fire that greeted their approach. Napoleon, confident in the prowess of his cavalry, unleashed them in a thunderous charge. The elite cuirassiers, armored and formidable, galloped across the battlefield with lethal intent, their charge aimed at breaking through the disciplined formations of Wellington's troops. Wellington's infantry, arrayed in tight, disciplined squares, withstood the fierce cavalry charges. Their coordinated volleys repelled the French horsemen, demonstrating the effectiveness of Wellington's defensive preparations and the unyielding resolve of his soldiers. The arrival of Prussian forces in the late afternoon revitalized the weary Allied troops and complicated Napoleon's tactical situation. This significant reinforcement helped to tilt the balance of the battle, applying fresh pressure on the French right flank. The battle for control of Hougoumont Farm was critical. Both sides recognized its strategic importance, leading to some of the most intense and close-quarter fighting of the day. The struggle over this key position was fierce and brutal, with every building and hedge fiercely contested. At La Haye-Sainte, another key position, the fighting was equally ferocious. The defenders held out against repeated assaults in a desperate struggle to maintain control, their resistance symbolizing the broader tenacity of Wellington's forces. In a decisive move, Napoleon deployed his elite middle guard in the late afternoon. These battle-hardened veterans, the cream of the French army, marched forth to deliver what Napoleon hoped would be the decisive blow. Their presence on the battlefield meant to intimidate and overwhelm. Seizing a critical opportunity, Wellington ordered a counterattack. His reserves, fresh and ready for combat, advanced to meet the middle guard. The ensuing clash was fierce, as both sides engaged in a desperate struggle for dominance. Meanwhile, the village of Plancenoit turned into a secondary battleground, with Prussian forces engaging the French rearguard. The control of this village was pivotal, representing a broader contest for survival and strategic advantage in the ongoing battle. Despite the fierce defense, La Haye-Sainte was eventually overwhelmed by French forces. Though a tactical victory for Napoleon, the high cost of capturing the farmstead was a Pyrrhic success, as it drained vital resources and manpower. As the sun began to set, Napoleon committed his imperial guard to a final, desperate charge. This elite unit, symbolic of Napoleon's military might, advanced into battle against a backdrop of a rapidly deteriorating situation, their last stand marked by both valor and tragedy. With the Imperial Guard faltering, Wellington sensed the moment for a decisive move. He ordered a general advance across the line, leading to a surge of Allied forces that overwhelmed the remaining French resistance, decisively tipping the scales towards a coalition victory. Defeated, Napoleon was compelled to retreat from the battlefield, a move that marked the end of his rule and reshaped the political landscape of Europe. His departure from Waterloo was not just a tactical withdrawal, but the symbolic end of an era. As darkness fell over Waterloo, the battlefield, littered with the casualties of the day's fierce engagements, lay in solemn stillness. The cost of the conflict was monumental, underscored by the scenes of wounded soldiers and ruined equipment scattered across the landscape. The annals of history, its lessons enduring well beyond the immediate political changes it prompted. It stood as a stark reminder of the costs of ambition and warfare, and a tribute to the strategic acumen and bravery of those who fought.